Hey there, everybody. Darryl Griffiths here for Movie Marker. It's lovely reconnecting with you all. I appreciate it has been a while that I've put anything out in this format in terms of film reviews. I really hope you're all keeping well. Today, the review is the final instalment of the iconic dinosaur franchise that is Jurassic World Dominion. It brings back the director Colin Trevorrow to proceedings after sitting the second instalment out, which was helmed by J.A. Bayona. To mixed results, I have to say, considering the narrative arc that this trilogy has really gone for. And Dominion, it's a big deal for superfans like myself because it brings back the original cast of Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, Ellie Sattler, Laura Dern, and of course Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, and they all join forces on this occasion with Chris Pratt's Owen Grady and Bryce Dallas Howard's Claire as they embark on a globe-trotting adventure where a lot of geopolitics are explored through this particular instalment, as the world is very much at stake as human and dinosaurs are trying to live in unison and in harmony, but it's clearly not going down that way. So there is various subplots going on within Jurassic World Dominion. There's Maisie, who is the adopted daughter of Owen and Claire, the surname Lockwood, who is obviously, there's a checkered history with the Lockwoods within the Jurassic franchise, and in this particular instalment there is a suggestion that her DNA may play a prominent part in undoing a lot of the harm that has been done to the world. We've got exceptionally large locusts knocking around. Of course, we've got the dinosaurs sort of still causing threat for in a human context. For Owen and Claire, not just Maisie, there's of course the raptor Blue, who has found a way to reproduce. So there's a baby raptor, and they get napped, and of course Blue loses their shit, and Owen and Claire are adamant that they are going to go on a rescue mission and get the baby raptor back for Blue, whilst incorporating the original cast members of Ellie, Ian, and Alan, who, of course, have the greater questions playing on their minds in terms of how can they bring some normality back to the world in the midst of this global crisis that is unfolding before their very eyes, and they're pointing the blame at a company called Biosyn, who may be, let's just say, their tactics in trying to get this situation under control is very unorthodox and very questionable in its moral compass. So, let's get the bad out of the way first with Jurassic World Dominion. The first half, I've got to be honest, is very by the numbers. It's very ropey. Some of the dialogue is aggressively bad, particularly for the guy who plays the head of Biosyn. It's almost like I want to incorporate the Alan Partridge meme where you just sort of go, eh? It's like that. Some of the dialogue is just so... It's almost like he's mumbling or bumbling along. I don't know whether that's the intention to sort of accentuate the fact that they don't feel like actual human beings in themselves and how they're reacting to the crisis at hand. But from a screenplay perspective, you are just sort of looking at it and thinking, this is the best that this franchise could come up with for this character who's meant to be the big bad of the whole piece. It's very underdeveloped, I have to say. And beyond the initial joy that you experience with the original cast coming back, when you reunite them all together, you would sort of suspect that you would find, some emotional wallop with it all, or, hairs on the back of the neck, like, oh, wow, these characters are all together in one, in close proximity, and you would expect to feel something. And in that case, it doesn't quite reach those heights that other franchises have had. I mean, I think it's because it's so close to, say, like a Top Gun Maverick, and how they've seen so much time pass and brought various characters back and plot threads and that kind of thing. When you put it up against something like that, I know it's a dangerous game because, they are completely different films, but at the end of the day, these are blockbusting franchises who are relying on legacy cast members to sort of, bring this all to a new audience and revitalize, these franchises. So in that respect, it's a little sketchy. And I think the dynamic between Alan and Ellie feels a little reductive. I think Jeff Goldblum's Ian has a lot of zingers, and he makes up for that in that respect. Because, in all honesty, when you put those trio up against Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard's characters, there is quite the gulf in the personality stakes. Owen and Claire haven't really quite had the, same oomph for me. Particularly in the first one, I felt like the chemistry was sorely lacking. It's somewhat improved in this one. Like Bryce Dallas Howard really just goes for broke in terms of the action set pieces, and ultimately that's where the film's strength is. Once you get past a very sketchy first half, where all the subplots are all moving, there's too many moving parts for it to sort of. It's very unwieldy in that respect. So it really does stall the pacing. But once it gets sort of to the hour mark and we get to an amazing chase sequence that's very Jason Bourne-esque. It's a shame that Matt Damon didn't come back for that fourth instalment and just throw in dinos, because that would have been probably more fun. Or bring Jeremy Renner back and punish him for the Bourne legacy with dinosaurs, maybe. If you want to be, completely unhinged about the whole narrative. But it's an amazing chase sequence, and then it really does set the tone from there for the ludicrous fun. It's like a full lean into the preposterousness of the plot, because at the end of the day, I think if you pick plot holes all day with this trilogy, there's been a bit of course correcting and obviously bringing in original cast members to try and bolster proceedings, perhaps after how mixed Fallen Kingdom was. I know there was like the suggestion of a black market with dinosaurs at the end of that one, and it didn't quite land in the way that it should have. But once it revels in the dinosaur carnage, and there is some great set pieces beyond the one in Malta, and there's some lovely little Easter eggs of certain dinosaurs making their presence felt in the final stretches, and it does bring a lot of joy, and it's quite exhilarating to witness. And there's a lovely riff on the Jurassic World logo at a particular point, which is really neat work from Trevorrow. But it's a tale of two halves for me, and I think given it's built up as this epic conclusion to the franchise, and given the amount of subplots that are sort of you're trying to tie up so many loose ends, it's a little underwhelming in that respect. And I think the action does save it, and the zingers from Goldblum, but I think ultimately Jurassic World Dominion, it just doesn't reach the heights that you really would expect from a franchise of this scale and this scope. And the screenplay, as I say, is a big drawback for me, particularly in that first act, because some of the dialogue is aggressively bad. It really is. But clearly the cast are having a blast being all together. I just wish I felt more emotionally with these characters on this particular journey and narrative arc that's explored. But as a finale, it's certainly fun. The second half, particularly, once it fully leans into the carnage, you will have a blast, I am sure. But you really do have to, navigate a very stodgy and tedious first hour to fully appreciate the second half of Jurassic World Dominion. So I do wish it was better, but in the grand scheme of things with the trilogy, it's certainly a slight step up from Fallen Kingdom. I know that's probably a low bar to some people, because I didn't mind. I mean, Fallen Kingdom. I mean, at the time, I sort of didn't mind what Bayona was trying to go for, but then I watched it back and I was like, I'm really just sort of unpicking this really badly now. But thankfully, Dominion, if you just don't pick plot holes, try and switch your brain off. It's big, dumb fun, and the dinosaurs, thankfully, get plenty of screen time to just go at it. And in that respect, it should just about satisfy most fans. But I think it's clear to say, just from the screening that we were in last night, it was very divisive. And I I do anticipate that this one is going to be as well for a trilogy close. But that is a wrap of my review of Jurassic World Dominion. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed it, and I haven't rambled as I do tend to sometimes. I apologise. But the next review, it's coming thick and fast because I've been here in London for Sundance London, conveniently. So there will be reviews on the way. There will be Brian and Charles, the Rural Wales. That was a very Jonathan Ross-esque sort of delivery. Rural Wales, sort of a mad inventor and his creation tale that is very charming, but of course I'll explore more in the next review. And good luck to you, Leo Grande, if you want to channel your Ariana, because it's Grand or Grande. It's been a running joke for the last couple of days with Emma Thompson and Darren McCormack, and I will indulge in that in a video review sense very shortly. So be sure to look out for that. But that is a wrap for now. Of course, Movie Marker. Like our page on Facebook, Movie Marker on Twitter, and of course the website itself, www.moviemarker.co.uk. But that is a wrap for now. I've been Darryl Griffiths. Take care, guys. Bye for now, and lovely reconnecting you all. See you later.